So here we are in Abbeydorney for our final Senior Hurling Championship podcast review of the year. And with me here, I have a special guest, and that is the Neil's Flynn Cup. Because 50 years of famine, well, looking at some of them, they certainly are not 50 years famine, and we won him here, and he's not suffering from 50 years of famine. However, 50 years of famine, 1974, the last time Abbeydorney won the County Hurling Championship. And here's the Neil's Flynn. This is the new Neil's Flynn. We had the 87 one, and the first one, it was presented by the Flynn family from Causeway, and Causeway were actually the first to receive it. And then this one was placed in 2017 for the 2018 championship, and Lixna were the first to get it, which means, viewers, that James McCarthy of Kilmoyle, despite his 8 county championship medals, despite the fact that he was captain in 2001, has never touched this cup. No. So, James, do you want to touch the Neil's Flynn Cup there at last? Excellent. And now we'll
beautiful. We'll pass off. It's rightful order.
It's rightful order. Leahy, who was the vice captain of the. No, he wasn't.
We got to bypass Dowdy there. Come on, Dowdy. It's okay. Come on, Dowdy.
That is the mayhem viewers you're about to see this evening. 117 to 110 winners, Abbeydorney, and what a few days of celebrations still going on behind us, because we are here in the Abbeydorney clubhouse.
Locked in.
It's been the Mickey Mouse clubhouse for a few days.
It has been just a sea of celebrations, and the emotion in the parish has been unreal. And we're locked in here, and the boys outside are locked. So it's a perfect place to hold our look back at the championship, principally the final. We're going to pick a couple of games as well that stood out for us in the championship, and then the contentious, where the boys will probably trade blows on the team of the championship and also the player of the championship, the young player of the championship. The top scorer we know is Michael O'Leary, so he'll get his award, but he's too busy. He's been called to the bar. He's not doing law, but he's actually been called to the bar because he's still celebrating all 6'6" of him indeed. Now I'll introduce the panel who you've seen already. None of them are strangers to you. On my left here is John O'Dowd. John, obviously freelance journalist. He's been commentating and co-commentating, etc., on the Hurling Championship all summer long, really, although we didn't have a summer. 21 games live and exclusive on Clover, and I think this our 8th or 9th podcast on Hurling Championship, something like that. And with us all the time is the former, I like to say former by the way, Kilmoyle star defender, and 8 championship medals. So he's got the experience. He was involved in the Kerry management. His daughters played camogie. He's involved in camogie, and he's one of the great characters of the game, liked by many.
Hated by a lot.
And he just interrupted me and disliked by even more.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Yes, but lads who met him on the field, because the kind of phrase, James did not take prisoners. And on the very left, a man who has spent the last 4 days living monk-like. He went against All Abbey just to be dried out. He's been around. He was so happy on Sunday evening. Part of our commentary team as well, young Aidan Leahy from Abbeydorney. This is a club. The last time they won it, he wasn't even a thought in his father's head because his father was too young. When they won the final in 2005, I think he was either 4 or 5 years of age. 5 years of age, and he still looks like a 5-year-old, but he's able to drink a pint now. He's legally to drink a pint, and he was a great help as well to us on Sunday when we brought the county final, Garvey Super Value County Hurling final, live and exclusive on Clover, and Aidan played a blinder getting us interviews, and he took part in a pre-match, although he was very nervous, a pre-match preview as well. Something that James Lee left us down on, obviously. He couldn't bear to talk about Ballyduff.
Where'd you get the cricket player
in a final? Anyway, so first of all, I got to just turn to Aidan. Aidan, obviously, as an Abbeydorney man, this means more to you than anything else. Talking to the lads out there, Michael O'Leary, Oisin Manson, all the lads, they really are soaking this up because it's a special time, and I suppose it's brilliant to be able to enjoy and celebrate such a win.
Like, it's easy for people to think we're over exaggerating, but there's probably 80% of this parish thought they'd never see Denise Flynn come down the road there. And I was just walking, I've been at work somehow for the last 2 days. I've been there anyway. I've been walking down the stairs, and every so often I just kind of say to myself, "We're going to win the championship." Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's actually ridiculous. And it's been some week. There's more to follow, and like already the boys are buzzing for November and playing the Munster Championship. Like you'd think, we always said, Jesus, if we ever won the championship, I don't know, we'll be able to field a team for Munster. Thank God, the 3 month gap helps. In fairness, but in fairness, the boys are already looking and they're going,
wait and watch for opponents.
Yeah, like, and I'm telling you, they're only going to get better too. Most county champions probably. It's hard to keep the level up there, but there's lads that have been on the mend, the likes of Michael Sactry. It's 3 months to get himself up to level. Like, Michael hitting top fitness immediately improves the team.
He's a starter,
absolutely.
He's a starter.
So they can only get better. And honestly, I think if they can go into Munster in November and win that first round, you never know what can happen. Because we thought this year, like once they got on a run this year inside in town, we did start to think maybe we didn't want to vocalise it, but in fairness, my father and Francie O'Donovan Saturday night, they both said Abbeydorney by 7.
Yeah,
and
Francie was a survivor of 74. Yeah. Tell me, the likes of your dad now and other guys of his age and older and some younger, it must have meant a lot to them, because year after year you're going out in the quarter final, not qualifying for the knockout stages, being knocked out, having a good win, a good game, and then maybe mixing it with a poor game after. On Sunday evening, they just, Austinstadt Park, an hour afterwards.
We didn't know what to do.
We didn't know.
We didn't know what to do.
Rookies.
We stood out in the pitch and like.
Do you realise the Kilmiley boys would be having a swim in Bannon?
Yeah.
The first little
man, everyone was just standing out there, and I think the players eventually realized, and like we all know, like anyone's been involved in the team, lucky enough, I have one or two things. When you get into that dressing room, that's a huge rush again, in the celebration. Yeah. So. But the boys were there for an hour out in the pitch, like, and in fairness, they took a photo with everyone, like, that asked, and everyone, fellas that they'd probably never seen in their lives,
didn't even know, maybe
from abroad, or guys who just probably wouldn't have gone into town with years and years and years, because like it's just been too depressing a place to go at times for us. I think the biggest person you can see out there, and the man, if he's one reason to begrudge anything, like. It's not there though with him, is Aidan Healy, because Aidan Healy was my childhood hero. He was a lot of the guys.
One of the best never to win one. One of the best.
Yeah, like the fact if you give that man just a medal alone, like just for being Aidan Healy, like he's an unbelievable player.
Yeah.
But no begrudgement. The first man out on the dance floor, the first man at everything, and he's driving it on for us outside there, like, and he's just a bundle of positivity and energy, and like
James.
Himself and Aidan, Mike Hannafin, all those guys, they're heavily involved in the club as well, underage level, and they're the boys that are going to keep driving it on now for what will hopefully be a massive bounce in the club going into next year.
Very good. James, you would have played against Aidan, you'd know him, probably played the Kerry team with
together.
Him.
We were together for
years. And also give us a feeling as regards you've been involved in so many celebrations, but for these lads, the first. It must be unreal.
Yeah. Fellas will always ask you, we were lucky with a good run, a lot of good years. Yeah. But they'll always ask you which one. And you only say the first. Because that's why I talked about it last day. I said, you'd nearly be jealous of this feeling. What the Abbeydorney club and Abbeydorney players are feeling. That's a once in a lifetime feeling.
Yeah.
That's not something that's going to come again. Like, you could win 10 more. This feeling will never happen again.
First one is,
it'll never happen again. This feeling is just something rare, something to be bottled if you could, But we felt it after 30 years. It's because even as the lads said about, we were the same. We couldn't stay on the pitch for an hour because it was absolutely deluge when we won the first one. Yeah. But we were in the dressing room for an hour probably, and the lads were. I could see it the last days. Like Crotter was saying last year. We went to the Kirby's Bro game. Would you believe it? Back in the time we were. Bill Kirby welcomed us. 2001. Captain Bill Kirby welcomed us in to Kirby's Bro game, and just the actual feeling, and then the whole lift to give the parish. And you, like Aidan says, you meet people probably. I don't know this fella. Yeah. And he would have been a Kilmalloy hurler maybe 30 years before you were even born, maybe. Yeah. And you say, Christ, you get the history, and it's just such a special
everybody
week.
Is so closely knit and not carried in the community. I was here on Sunday night, I think. No, was it Sunday or Monday?
Hold on now a second. No, he can't even remember what day it is.
Oh, yeah.
Monday, and I came down to my club. Right?
There's the first mention. Hey, are we back? That's number one. Number one
there. My club, Abbeydorney. And it was amazing to see the guys from Ballyduffin, the Ballyhigh boys. There were even a couple of refugees from Kilmalloy here. And, you know, it was incredible to see the amount of lads who were sharing the joy. And that's kind of, you know, don't like each other in the field, play hard against each other. But when it's all over, I think there was a genuine...
There is
good feeling about Abbeydorney breaking that duck after 50 years.
I'll tell you a small story. Like when I won in 2001, right? That was our first year winning it, and you kind of fall into your own little ball of joy and humble excitement, and you know what? Do you kind of fall to your knees? And I just got up, and the first man I saw was Pat Harrington. Pat Harrington was Ballyhigh captain. The first man, he was cornerback below. I was centre back. He ran up the field and shook my hand. I thought it was unbelievable act of sportsmanship. And I said, I always remember, I said, what a guy. What a guy. Beyond all the situation, beyond losing themselves, all he thought about was, my old buddy. An old buddy of mine. And I say, I'd shake his hand and I'd say, I'm captain, he's captain. And what a guy. I always think about it. I always mention it. I say, what a moment. Like just you think it's little things, but I said, that's a proper sportsman. That's a proper guy, like.
John, we were commentating, obviously, and it's different up in the box. I was down the field beforehand, you were down after, spoke to Francie, etc. And you had a great interview with two very linguistic, strong English speakers in Jed Mansell and Oisin Mansell. You got the feeling and the vibe down there of total enjoyment, didn't you?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Like we kind of spoke about it last week in the preview about... not just bringing up the word romance today,
please don't.
Especially for
that went on for far too long.
But it was the outcome that I think, like, if you weren't from Ballyduff, every neutral would have wanted Abbeydorney to end that 50-year famine, especially after what happened with Crotta last year. There was just something about it. Like, I think even from our very first programme at the very start of the season,
dark horses, you called it. You called them dark horses.
Well, he bottled it.
We felt that there was a possibility that Abbeydorney could do it.
I don't like tipping my own club, but he tipped my own club, and it's up on Twitter or X, a 2-minute video of me declaring the fact that Abbeydorney were going to win. Despite the fact that in the programme I backed Ballyduff. But anyway...
And he backed the draw on the other publication you write about.
I don't know, Aidan might know more. I don't know if the whole Abbeydorney club and the group of players, if they did take inspiration from what Crotta did last year, or if they did look at the 50 years and say, this is the year we have to do it. But there was something about the championship this year that you felt from the start, for those two reasons alone, that they were big time in the mix. And then you add in the third reason of their county league form over the last couple of seasons, where they had got better and better and better. They'd beaten Ballyduff in the final. Mort, was it last year? I think we were at it over in Lixnaw.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Like, they had been slowly making the progress.
Yeah, no, last year was the walk
and
over.
You just felt that maybe the stars were aligning as they did for Crotta last year, and they could do the same for Abbeydorney this year.
You missed one as well. There was a fourth one. Francie O'Halloran came down from Clare, across from the ferry, right? And at great expense, obviously. Francie, if you were watching this, I didn't mean that.
No.
Is he Garrett in Limerick?
He's a prison guard.
Prison guard.
Yeah.
Oh God. If we
God.
And I think he's at work at the moment.
He's at
poor man.
Francie came down, and I think he suited this group of players because I'd say there was a bit of give and take about them. Saw what they had, moved with it, didn't rush anyone back. Injuries. He told us about that. Oisin Mansell said, "Go up to Mullingar wherever he was going, get yourself sorted, and come back." And that was the key as well. He didn't pressurise players back before they were fit.
And a very calm presence. And even the lads said, brilliant on tactics.
Yeah.
And the overall structure of the team this year, if you look at, I know we will talk about the defence in a lot of detail as we have done the whole championship, but from the very start, Abbeydorney were very hard to score against. And if you're very hard to score against, and you have good players up the other end of the field, you're already on to 75-80% of a winning team.
Absolutely, yeah. And the one thing, he may have said it after in jest, but he's not in for the Kerry hurling manager's job, despite what you might read in some publications written by a certain individual who shall remain nameless. Let's
who is that?
Well, neither do me can read it.
It's not us.
So it's either me or Dowdy.
Whittle it down there.
I could have been a written journalist, but unfortunately I had work experience at Mort.
That was the end of that.
Hang on.
Well, I have to say that whatever he achieves in life, he started off with me, so I'm going to claim it. No wonder he's gone working in the bank, and I'm still around.
Penniless.
Down every week to Francie at the post office. Anyway, that's only just to pick up the hurling, by the way. I actually had a part to play in this as well. Great win, and nobody recognised it or realised it. Okay, now let's talk about the final, lads, and. Probably will be some highlights in this programme as well if we can get JC to do a small bit of work. So you may see Michael O'Leary grabbing a high ball that's up already, passing out to Daniel, and he's scoring it. Oisin Mansell's goal, so many highlights. But if I was looking at my notes there and I brought them along to look at them, just to remind myself, with 21 minutes gone, it was 7 points to 5. Podge just put over 65, 7 points to 5, a 2-point game. John O'Dowd, what happened between then and half time to make it 111 to 0-7?
Yeah, sensational, because they mentioned it as well, Abbeydorney. They knew that Ballyduff had got off to great starts in several of their matches, including against Kilmoyley, including against Lixna in the quarter-final, including at the very start against St. Brendan's in their very first match. They've always been really quick out of the traps. So Abbeydorney knew that they couldn't afford to be 7 or 8 points down after 20 minutes. They just couldn't, because it would leave it as too much of a battle to try and come back. And even though Ballyduff did have their lulls in games, you couldn't just expect that it was going to happen again. So what Abbeydorney did was they set their stall out from the start. They were 5-1 up after 10 minutes, 6-2. And as you say, then it came to 7-5. And then there was a moment where you felt, are Ballyduff getting into this game now? Have they finally got their bearings? I think Podge might have got his first point from play around that time, and Jack Sullivan got a couple of 1 or 2 long range points, and you were thinking, right, here come the big match favourites. They're just going to up it slightly through the gears. They're going to go in at half time around level terms or close enough, and they'll win the second half. But no, it wasn't. Abbeydorney just sensed it again, maybe that the 4-point lead had gone to 2, and they just immediately tore Ballyduff asunder for the last 10 minutes.
Niall with a point.
Niall
a wide.
Oisin's goal.
The goal then was absolutely
in
crucial.
between that, you had a wide from Conor Bryan. He tried a very long free.
That was close. It was close. Great shot.
The thing is, right, and I say this to Cullen and O'Connor, I was standing next to him for the whole game, and for old Colin McCarthy, I had his head wrecked, I'd say, at the end of the match. But I said it straight away, that was such a long range free. Conor Bryan, that's you get Conor to take that, because if Conor misses that, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if Conor misses that. Yeah. Michael comes back and misses that.
Yes.
You don't want your free taker to start missing frees, no matter how long range or how much of a free shot it is. You bring out Conor to take that.
It's a free hit.
Conor just goes back into goals. He doesn't even think about it.
Huge credit to Niall O'Mahony in that couple of minutes. He's been like a bit of an understated influence on the team this year.
He has been injured with Kerry,
because he's had a lot of injury issues, and even like the last day he could only play maybe 10 minutes into the second half or whatever before he was replaced. But as James said, he got that point to make it 8-5, and he played in the ball to Oisin Mansell.
And by the way, you might have
goal.
said it was a low ball in, it was a high ball in, okay?
It broke, he's
actually,
strength.
Me that said it, not you. Because he corrected me. I drove his dad up on Monday night up for a boomer or something. He wanted extra noise in around Abbeydorney, and I went up to his house. Yeah, and lovely dwelling he's up there, so ranch type. Yeah, but go on, talk about the
Hurling. So Niall played a big influence there with the point and then setting up the goal for Oisin, and of course, like 5 goals in 4 games for Oisin says it all, but that just lifted Abbeydorney to a whole new level. Then maybe it was
and he fired over a point straight after.
Yeah, maybe, and Callum O'Sullivan got a score, and
James
then came
score of the match.
The score of the match, the inspirational score.
Brilliant.
James O'Connor. He
brilliant.
did a brilliant piece of defending, as he did all afternoon against Jack Goulding, who was one of the key players for Ballyduff. But then he played a 1-2 with Tomás O'Hanafane and just hit it over the bar from 55 metres out.
On the sideline.
Near the sideline. It was, and then Jack Sheehan immediately popped over another point.
Because there was only 1 minute of added time.
And then they were 9 ahead at half time, and basically the game had been taken away from Ballyduff.
James, what about the matchups? In the first half, it became evident. We had Jed Mansell took Luke Rochford, and then we had both Ronan and Stephen were looking after Podge. You had Jamesy on Jack Goulding. They were the key matchups, and they worked a treat for Abbeydorney.
Perfect, absolutely. Like I've said it before, I said it during the week about us, and I talked about it. I don't like talking about Kilmiley now. It's not. We're talking about Abbeydorney, but the Podge Boyle thing.
Yeah.
Our arrogance cost us.
Right.
We did not make that change.
No,
I will. I'm honest. I'm honest. I will call it as it is. Our arrogance cost us there.
Yeah.
We should have made a change, doubled him up, because that man is too good. It happened 2 years ago. You saw the final 3 years ago between Causeway and Lixnaw. They doubled on Shane Conway.
Yes.
Game over. Causeway won that game.
Yeah.
The winning of the game was doubling up on Podge. That was the winning of the game, because as it turned out, you saw
what I will say is, right, and it is a tough decision to make, though.
Oh, it is. Oh, you have to be
so wrong.
That could exactly.
It looks like a weakness from the start when you
double
double up on a player.
That's exactly it.
So I can understand why Kilmiley did that.
You're dead right. I agree with you.
Said, look, we're not going to show.
We can't afford
weakness here to try and double up on Podge. But it becomes a strength the minute that the first ball is cleaned out, and the boys won the first ball on the Podge inside. I think they probably won the second and third ball too. But that it does, and I cut any management team a bit of slack for that, because it's one tough decision.
It is a tough decision.
Like, it can go so horribly wrong. But by God, Stephen Arona.
You see the reward though.
Unbelievable.
You compare 2-12 to 6 points.
Yeah.
Game 1 there, and that's what he scored against Kilmiley. And 6 points in the final against Abbeydorney.
Yeah. So at half time, lads, at half time, 1-11, wasn't it 5 points, was it?
Yeah.
So that's a 9-point lead. John O'Dowd, did you think there was a way back for Ballyduff? Realistically, now they could, and they did get 2 early points. I think it was it Jack Goulding and Adam Seagal.
They got 2 very fast.
They got 2 very quick, but. Did you think that first 10 minutes, maybe it's a better way of putting it, of the second half is going to be crucial? Ballyduff need to get a goal then.
I didn't think they were going to come back at half time. I felt Abbeydorney had the game won at that stage. I
did too, yeah.
I did expect Ballyduff to throw the kitchen sink at it, but they just weren't playing well, or more importantly, they weren't being allowed to play well.
That's it.
And you knew at half time that the Abbeydorney defence was just playing too good, like as they had been for the whole championship. Maybe we actually underestimated them, even though we were praising them every week for their performances. Maybe we thought, eventually
a good forward line will take them apart.
A good forward line is going to take them. But it
never
ever happened. No. They just got stronger and stronger.
In fairness, John said it. I was just watching back bits of the matches there. I think 48 minutes in, possibly, maybe earlier now. Don't quote me on that, but you said 4 points to 3 in the second half for all the hurling Ballyduff have played. For all the hurling they've played.
Trying to get back into us.
They were battering us around the middle of the park there at one stage, but it was only 4 points to 3 to Ballyduff in that second half.
It was exactly 48 minutes.
they'd
Despite
only
all
cut.
the alcohol in your brain.
Your notes, his notes over there.
But John said it, and like that, a 9-point lead for all the hurling and all the got eight.
Yeah.
Still was 9 points.
Into secret, boys. The only reason I thought my club, Abbeydorney, would win this, right? Second mention, third, was the defence. I had said it in the piece that I had put up on social media, that I thought the six backs and the keeper, they were outstanding, and I wasn't sure whether the Ballyduff forward line, other than Jack and Podge, were good enough to penetrate them, and that's why I thought Abbeydorney had a chance. Now at the same time, I was obviously fearful of Ballyduff and the tradition and everything.
It took me into the last 30 seconds to realise
that
you surely can't get 3 scores in 30 seconds.
Counting up how many's left.
Yeah. John, as a keen student of the game, well, we'll say you are anyway. Oisin Mansell didn't after half time, Mr. Goat. Darragh Goulding saved that, I'm trying to think.
Darragh Quinlan Oisin would be
great save.
Very disappointed. He said it in the interview afterwards. His first touch, he dropped the slitter out of his hand. I think he was thinking of where he was going to bury it before he had it in his grasp. Yeah. And that gave Darragh Quinlan the opportunity to come out like a flash. He got a block on it and deflected it over the bar. But like Oisin will tell you himself, he should have buried it. That should have been the end of the game then, totally, because Ballyduff had got them 2 points. If he scores the goal then, it's 2-11 to 7 points instead of 1-12 to 7. It's done and dusted. But then I thought Abbeydorney were very smart then. They didn't wait. Like I was saying, Niall probably lasted 10 minutes. He actually lasted 7 minutes into the second half. And they brought Brendan O'Leary on, which was a huge moment as well.
Yeah. It lifted the crowd as well.
It did. And as Aidan says
there... And it lifted Aidan. He felt 5'5" tall.
As Aidan was saying there, I think it was something that Michael O'Leary said to me afterwards when I spoke to him. In that third quarter, he said, we weren't really scoring, but Ballyduff weren't really scoring.
That's exactly.
How did James, because you probably faced this in your career, I don't know, you probably watched Shane Brick doing it. Close in free, and they go for... And Shane was famous for doing it after about 27 minutes. Yeah. At the least one, you might be leading by 3 or 4 points. Another point for Shane.
It was a goal.
Now, he had a fair go. I think
great shot.
36-37. Great shot.
Conor Mahanna was a saved it. Was Conor Mahanna saved it?
No, it was James.
James he saved.
We slowed it down.
And Stephen Egan cleared it off
with the toe.
Yeah. And he missed the 65, didn't he?
Yeah. He pointed that 65. He missed another one.
I think on 2 goals are huge. Like I always say in Sight and Town anyway, whoever scores the first goal, I think 80% of the time wins the match. But Paul Kinnerk is the man who always says this. There's a great YouTube video, I think it's on Munster GA, of Paul Kinnerk giving a talk, and he talks about a 4-point goal and a 2-point goal. There's no such thing as a 3-point goal. The goal is either worth... The only time it's worth 3 points is if it's the last bucket again. It's either worth 4 points or 2 points. Abbeydorney's goal was worth 4 points, if not actually 7 points really, because
at the time
scored. But it was worth 4 points, and Ballyduff's goal was only worth 2 points because the boys went down, won the free, Mike put it over the bar.
That's it,
huge moment.
In the 50th minute, a huge moment. Dan O'Leary on his knees almost puts the ball over the bar, makes it 114 to 8 points. That's 17 points to 8. 50 minutes gone, just 10 left plus a bit of added time. And in fairness to the referee, there weren't so many frees in the game, and I thought Kevin Jordan allowed a lot of...
Our favourite ref.
He allowed the play go.
He is now anyway.
He's good now.
I thought he was superb.
It was just O'Sheen inside. I thought O'Sheen got manhandled down to the ground towards the end of it by 2 men. But
he have to let him.
He was doing the only time. It was the only time I probably had a grievance with him. But in fairness, Kevin Jordan, I must give him credit.
I thought he was spot on. Because he left to go. We did not want the free taking contest. We didn't get that.
You said that last week.
We did not want that. We wanted men up, people to man up, and fellas to man up. And you know what? Like Aidan spoke about it, Abbeydorney club mend up. The whole club. That is a big physical team out there. Yeah. And I'd say out there because they are out there.
Yeah.
But that is a big physical team. Yeah. And Ballyduff are strong, tenacious guys. They look second best in every physical battle. They look second best in every physical battle.
And the biggest showing of that is the throwing of the first ball.
The very first ball.
Like
put a stamp on the game.
Jesus,
put a stamp on the game.
Like, I mean, the guy, like, I don't know if they admitted it yet, but surely the lads on the sideline, they had watched that. Aidan O'Connor and Neil Young Mangan.
The young-looking old fella.
Aidan and Mangan in midfield. And next thing, Michael Leahy and Tomas Hannafin are standing there. And Michael's just
Giants, the Valley of the Giants.
She's not the way and wins the free. That had to be a free. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're thinking then, oh God, is he going to start blowing the whistle for the whole game? But
no, that was the
definition of.
And that was a plan. Like that was a plan for Michael.
That was pinpointed by the lads.
To make a statement of intent from the throw-in.
Fact.
And they pushed 116 to 10 points clear, 57 gone. Okay, the boys came back and Jack Sullivan finished that low sort of a ball to the net. I think it hit somebody in the wing.
It was saved in the breakout. It was a messy goal. Yeah, they got the goal.
Did you ever think over the last 10 minutes that there was anything there for Ballyduff? No, they never gave up trying, to be fair to them.
The Pod's chance that he hit the side in.
Oh yeah, that was.
The heart skipped a beat there.
I mean, missed 2 goals.
That was so close.
They missed 2 just.
And that was when I thought maybe.
This is
that was huge.
That second half fade out for Abbeydorney that you often told us about. Sorry, that we spoke about. That didn't happen on Sunday, and really, I think they finished strong in the last 10 minutes, as strong as they were in the first 10 minutes, and obviously that's fitness, strength and conditioning. But it's also hunger, desire,
and belief. Belief was there.
I think that was evident, wasn't it, Aidan?
Like, he couldn't be denied after playing that way for 50 minutes, going down to the last 10 minutes. Like the lads, I think actually with 50 minutes to go, Ballyduff had thrown everything at it at that stage.
Oh, they had.
There was nothing left.
Especially, I think that Podge chance honestly was a huge moment.
Huge turnaround.
Like that was a massive moment. That felt like Jesus. We've
had everything now.
Green flag was there, and the goal came so late. Like the goal was 59 minutes in, was it?
It was virtually a last goal. Yeah.
Like the lads just were not to be denied at that stage. If they brought it down to that stage. No, it was still a ball in ours and the terrorists watching it. That's there.
They had all come in, like
they were not to be denied.
Jack Enright had come in, Darren Slattery had come in, JP O'Carroll
into the bench.
Yeah. They really had thrown on everything they had. You could say like they threw the kitchen sink at it in an effort to get back into the game.
Killian Boyle was in as well.
Killian Boyle came in. Did Jason Bowler come in as well?
It's a sign of respect for Luke Rochford because he had such a good championship. But Luke Rochford going off at the stage he went off. Felt like a big moment as well.
It was because you're thinking we've him beaten.
That's it, exactly. We've one man got off the pitch.
The last 2 points of the game, I don't know, have we even focused on it enough? The last 2 points that Abbeydorney got, the first one was from Brendan O'Leary off the bench, and the second one was Brendan winning the free. That Michael put over just after the goal. So, just say Ballyduff had got the goal, they brought it back to 6.
Go back up the field.
If they went back up again and maybe got another goal, then it gets squeaky bum time for Abbeydorney. But Brendan wins the free, and then it's over.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, lads, tell us this. Okay, Abbeydorney were fantastic on the day. They won all the matchups. That spell from the 22nd to the 31st minute. That 8 to 9 minute period where they scored 1-3, 1-4, that really made a difference, obviously. And they kicked on in the second half and they more than matched Ballyduff for scores. But for Ballyduff, they really were flat, I thought.
Very flat.
And I think Podge did something to his calf. Now, I don't think it made a difference overall because they needed more than Podge to win this game. But it did actually, affect him a little. You could see that in the way he was running. I mean, a ball under it was grand, and he didn't win all of them because obviously the 2 lads were very good, but he couldn't move out, the way when the ball was played out to the corner, he wasn't winning them either. So basically, who sort of performed well for them? I thought Dara Quinlan had a good final goal.
Kevin Goulden started brightly.
Kyle had his hands full, but look, he
battled hard.
He battled hard.
Daniel O'Carroll, I thought, did well enough for periods.
And a very consistent championship.
Dennis had a brilliant championship.
Jack Sullivan at times.
He was pretty good.
Paul Costello competed manfully with Michael O'Leary.
As good as any fella could. Any fella could.
For long spells. I think they should have put Kyle O'Connor on Oisin from the start.
Yes.
I think that was a mistake having Adam Seagal back at the start.
I think they had 3 fellas. Anthony Kavanagh, Adam Seagal and Kyle O'Connor all tried Oisin.
They
all tried Oisin.
I think Kyle O'Connor was more suited to it. It would have been better, I think, if they'd have played him. Because Adam Seagal played better in the second half when he moved out around the middle of the field.
But that's his natural place. He needs freedom.
Exactly. They got Abbeydorney got, by accident or design, they got what Ballyduff wanted. Isolation inside.
Yeah.
O'Sheen isolates against anyone, I don't care who it is, you're in trouble. You're in trouble.
It's happened to us the wrong way around.
It's happened so many, you could see how they fall this trap, how they have so much space, but we want that space and we can't get it.
Aidan, tell us a small bit about O'Sheen. He was injured, he was a Kerry minor football captain, played hurling, obviously he's a Mansell, need you say any more, but his physical strength, he's got that burly, kind of, you try and stop him. Kyle O'Connor was telling me here on Monday. He says he's just, once he goes past you, there's no way you stop him. You can't stop him. You might save the ball, you might try and flick it, but he has that, strength.
And the hurling.
And the hurling.
I always thought O'Sheen was going to be our free taker and, that kind of
wing forward
element for us, because he was 6 years of age, so here putting the ball over the bar from nearly 65, he was lucky he was coming down here every day with his dad anyway.
That's it.
I just think the goals he scored this year in the championship, he's dragged them out of nowhere in a way, whereas a lot of the times you have a player like O'Sheen and they get so bundled up in front of the goals, but there's just no stopping him. He makes about 3 yards or 4 yards with the pickup alone, just throws it out in front of himself.
That's his football burst. I see him as well.
He makes so much ground with the pickup.
First couple of yards,
and that's by the time he gets the ball in his hand, he's nearly the 3 or 4 steps taken. So when he gets the ball in his hand,
he's another
4 more steps taken.
He's on the goal line.
I think that goal really epitomised everything about O'Sheen this year, especially, and he's not near as fit as what he can be either. He's
10
only
weeks,
going
10 weeks, 10 weeks now. 10 weeks training. 10 weeks
to come. Now let's just summarise the final. We'll say Abbeydorney, John, were the winners. Ballyduff, they were beaten on the day, but they also probably will look back, reflect, and didn't perform on the day. Maybe weren't allowed to perform, but I presume as well they were not young players. So providing they stay around, or there's rumours some of them are going to travel, you can never write off Ballyduff. They probably come as well, and they're like a team that if they won one, they could win two or three.
I think there's one word we haven't mentioned at all today, and it's quite appropriate that we haven't mentioned it because it wasn't a factor on Sunday, unbelievably, and that's the word nerves.
Yeah.
Abbeydorney were in their first final for 19 years. They were trying to end a 50-year famine. Only Kieran Deneen had played in this situation before, and from the first whistle, there wasn't an ounce of nerves.
They took it as an ordinary game.
It was quite.
It was like they were playing Kilmiley in a league game.
It was quite surreal.
Mark, you've summarised it so well, because that's what everyone in Abbeydorney has said for so long. Why can't we play in town like we played during the county league for the last couple of years? That's it right there. They played it like there was a county league.
And that start that Abbeydorney made, and obviously you're on the field with them, the Ballyduff players would have noticed that there's no nerves.
Yeah.
And that might have rattled Ballyduff to a degree as well.
Absolutely.
They're probably thinking, we'll get our usual good start now. These lads will be nervous for their first final in 20 years, 19 years, and we'll build up a lead, and then we'll be able to hold on to it. And
you make the nerves on the opposition. You make them nervous because you got to start.
Yes.
You don't come with the intensity. You drop off a small bit, they get confident. You come and you get first couple of scores, then they're nervous. Then they wonder where the first score is coming from.
Yeah.
Bang, you put it back in their ballpark straight away.
I'll tell you something, I was down the field with Ian Brick, obviously Aidan and Ristardo were on just before the game because you pulled out. And
I did actually.
And you did.
No crowd saw it.
I did, well you were babysitting. And I sensed that Ballyduff, the intensity was missing. And they had so many chances of hitting me in top of the skull with a stritter, and they all dropped shot to me. And I knew they were in,
and they were trying to hit you,
they were trying to hit me, but I missed, right? And that's kind of difficult.
That's bad shooting. I have to be fair to and there's a lot of young lads in the Ballyduff team. They were put under serious pressure by their home faithful.
And by the performance in the semi-final.
Look, that's the way Ballyduff have always been. That's they will rise to that eventually. They will rise to that eventually because they're too good to keep down.
Yeah.
It might be next year or the year after, but
and it wasn't complacency or overconfidence.
No.
Because they actually made a point of mentioning it in the build-up to the game that they had been overconfident going into the final 2 years ago against Causeway. That they felt they were definitely going to win that match, and they knew this time that it was a different kettle of fish, and that they felt they were better prepared
Yeah.
But then, what's the old saying? Is it everyone is better prepared until they get a punch in the face? And then
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Everyone's got a plan to get a punch in the mouth.
They got a punch in the mouth in that first 10 minutes. And then by half time, they were pretty much out for the count.
Talking, lads, about punches in the mouth, right? I'm not talking about you. Talking about punches in the mouth, I thought it was a very fair game. I can't remember one bad pull, foul pull. No. There was no confrontation. It was just the game. Both teams concentrated to play, and credit to both.
Credit the ref. Credit the ref.
I think the whole lot made it a very enjoyable occasion.
It did.
And particularly, what did you think, finally, on the crowd? I thought that Abbeydorney outnumbered Ballyduff by maybe 2-1, 3-1.
And it's the first time, it must be the first time in the history of our club to outnumber anyone. Like we were saying earlier.
There are people from Abbeydorney who were into Tralee for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Maybe on final day.
That's not...
shopping like.
Absolutely not an over-exaggeration at all. There was definitely people that went inside there for the first time. Hopefully, you're hoping young families that have moved into the village maybe recently have gone in there for the first time. And they'll come down here next year. That's what you always hope with a place like this. There was definitely people, and like there's, I don't know, he'd probably kill me for saying this now. Sandy Egan, David and Stephen's dad, he was driving, like he can't watch them, he can't go to the matches. He's gets too excited and too nervous. He listened to it on. He watched bits of it on Clover. He listened to bits of it on the radio. I'd say the man was probably just in and out of the house. Yeah. He was driving in the road for the last 10 minutes. He said, "Okay, he was afraid to almost get into the van. I'd say to jinx it." But he made it onto the pitch for the presentation.
The thing after.
He did, that's a sign of what people go through around here with emotions, like, you know. Yeah. But absolutely, there was definitely people inside there that haven't been in years and years and years, and maybe guys who like that who just actually can't physically go in because of, you know, the emotion of it all. So
is it going to happen again? Are we going to lose again?
Yeah, like it's. You can't, like James said, you can't describe the feeling of ending away like that.
Right, lads. Well, we're all thrilled that my club and Aidan's club, Abbeydorney, have won the championship. The lads now don't know much about it, but James has won them 8 times. So he's not wanting for silverware back in that household in Kilmiley. But now we're going to look before we go for a break, and then we'll have the team at the championship and the player of the year, etc. But we're going to one quick 5 minutes run around, boys, on games that obviously the final was very good, but games that captured your imagination during the championship that might stand out. For me, the semi-final, and John, you can continue on here, and you probably on the same wavelength as me in this one. The Ballyduff Kilmiley, that thriller, the 2 late points and the extra time, Kilmiley boys were dead at that stage because the injuries, everything, and just these subs, the bench, brought Ballyduff over the line, but it was Rochester. I always remember Luke's catch. It was absolutely memorable. That game, anything else that stood out for you, John?
Yeah, that was definitely the game of the championship. Ballyduff and Kilmiley, the intensity that day between like the two aristocrats of Kerry hurling with 51 titles between them, it was just massive. And Kilmiley, like, they died with their boots on, you know. They were coming into that game missing key players, and they kept going and going and going, and they put it up to Ballyduff all the way until young Rochford basically caught that
with a fingernail.
Yeah,
he'll tell you himself.
And he put it over the bar, and then Kilmiley knew themselves that they had nothing left to give in extra time. They had emptied the barrel, like there was nothing. They didn't even have players really to bring on. They had probably fellas on one leg and just hanging in there.
I was tugging off.
Yeah,
just not do that.
Well, you had some warm up done double on the terrace, walking over and backing over.
That game was a special game.
It was.
And maybe like it's not an excuse, and Ballyduff are not going to mention that as an excuse. Like, but maybe even though there was a 2-week break.
That was the final to them.
Maybe that did take a lot more out of them than we thought. And Abbeydorney had way much more in the locker after coming through an easier semi-final against Ballyhaig. So a lot of people were saying Abbeydorney weren't battle-hardened enough, but maybe Ballyduff were too battle-hardened.
That's true.
Absolutely. That's true. James, obviously you enjoyed that. You enjoyed
I did enjoy it. I will be fair. I will be fair.
You were disappointed with the
result. Yeah, I'll be fair. It was classic Mort. Mort was brilliant stuff.
Was there any other game?
Leahy.
Yeah.
Mort. Yeah. The quality after, I think it was after 7 minutes, it was 6-all. 6 points in play each.
Yeah.
The quality was off the charts. I thought on that lovely Sunday afternoon, beautiful sunny day.
Yeah,
it was just, hang on, you kind of felt like Aidan to tell you, something's going on here, something's happening here.
And like,
you kind of got a special feeling.
You know, the other way around, whereas Kilmiley going into extra time felt so like, this is...
We won't make it.
It felt like that with Ballyhide too, like...
You can't talk. I thought the skip chance was gone.
No, obviously they were the ones to get the score too, so they had that bit of a mental pick-up too. Yeah. But it really felt like going
really
in.
He would have.
Jeez, I'd ask anyone in town that day and ask a lot of the Ballyhide fellas, and look, I'm sure plenty of them would have stuck with Ballyhide too, but you ask 80 to 90% of the crowd in town that day who's going to win it now before the start of extra time. They'd have all said Crotta. And I used to say Crotta. I said Crotta, and myself and Pip said Crotta.
John Conway got the first 3 points, 2 or 3 points. Then Ballyhide got a goal out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Podge.
I thought as well, lads, the championship got a good start. 3 panels and Lixna.
Yes.
Yeah.
And 14 points to 12. Now, Lixna were a bit depleted. But that night, I think the county intermediate champions of the previous year, Parnells, struck a note to say, lads, we're entitled to be at this table. Okay, we may not win too many matches, but, Gerard Doherty, Tybrick, the lads played... they tried very, very hard. Oisin O'Brien.
It was a real chance to get a win.
It was
a real chance to get a win.
They probably let it slip,
They did, because Lixna weren't going at all that time.
No.
They weren't. That Lixna and the Lixna that played Belluff were light years apart.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Lixna should have won that game.
Yeah, should have.
We won't discuss the format, but it was criticised at the start, and I know there was in jeopardy in the groups. But at the same time, we got some great hurling matches. Right? It also allowed certain teams like Ballyduff and Causa, particularly in that group, and even Abbeydorney boys against Licktara, to play bench players, and Crott and Ballyduff played their bench players and ruined their chances of winning the intermediate, by the way. But at the same time, it has to be. You almost got a game, and it has to be that. It has to be the senior team that's important. So giving them a bit of taste of action in front of a crowd that they never had before. That was good. So overall, I think while it might have to be tweaked a little,
it didn't look great.
It wasn't a bad format.
I think the longer the championship went on, the less people spoke about the format. It didn't seem to be a factor as the action went from week to week. And I suppose you look at Ballyhide there, would they have had the belief to go and beat Crotta in the semi-final if they hadn't had the group win over Kilmiley?
That's the other thing.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's one game we kind of didn't mention either, and I thought was absolutely brilliant was Causeway and Ballyduff. When Causeway went down 14.
That was probably the best game of the group.
Absolutely incredible game. Yeah. They fought back to within a point or two. Absolutely. But I kind of said this before. Jesus, I'm getting I watched every Causeway match. I thought, oh my God, how am I watching another Causeway match? But I was in trouble by the way they were playing. They were brilliant. Everything they did. I know against us.
You were very popular in Causeway.
I know. I'm just saying.
You're the only Kilmiley guy who's popular in Causeway. Causeway don't like Kilmiley, but they always.
And they nearly came back from the dead against Kilmiley.
They nearly came back from the dead. But it was just. But that's them. That was the spirit they brought for years.
They were your choice, other than Kilmiley for the championship. Causeway.
We kind of picked them early on. I thought Causeway. I thought they were going to be up there.
I had them picked to win it.
Yeah, we picked them.
I picked
Kilmiley and Causeway. I thought.
Yeah.
You didn't even pick Abbeydorney. You didn't even pick Abbeydorney, did you?
I didn't pick them.
You didn't.
I picked them to make
at the very outset, you didn't pick them much. You did, obviously.
I more faith in Abbeydorney.
Of course you did, but Mort picked them.
Right, I picked them right from the start. They were my choice.
Michael,
Okay, lads, we got to restore a bit of order to this podcast. It's not easy. So listen, we'll take a break now, and we'll be back with the most contentious part of the show.
We'll surely see a bit of the highlights.
The team at the championship, and in the meantime, there may be some highlights put on. Again, if I can use the whip on JC and get him to do some of that. So we have romance and whips, everything.
A good novel. That's a good novel you have.
There's a novel, everything.
He's still reading those Mills and Bowen.
No, it's 48 shades of black and amber.
Black and amber.
That's it. Well, 50 actually.
50. Well said. 50 shades of black and amber.
It's the latest novel that I will be writing next. So that's it, and we'll be back shortly after the break. So welcome back, and now it's that time. Every championship is not complete until the team of the championship is put together. Normally it's the team of the latter stages of the championship. Obviously there have been some fine players in the group stages, but I don't think they really count. I think you've got to go from semi-finals on. Really, the final will have the majority, obviously, because they're the best hurlers in the county, and you might get one or two all right from the semi-finals, depending on where they're from, and what clubs they're from, and how successful those clubs have been, and whether there's somebody in the panel who's part of a club who was beaten in the semi-final. So we're going to start it, and we're going to go line by line. We start with the goalkeeper, then we'll do the full back line, midfield, and half forward and full forward line. And we'll ask each panelist here to give his selection and its majority rule. I, as the chairman, will have the final say. And if I don't agree with their say, like in every democracy, my word goes. So it's that type of democracy. Just
the G8, it's like the G8, really.
Yeah, G8 or a Fianna Fáil or this.
Yeah, or something like that.
Right.
It's okay.
So now we'll start Aidan with goalkeeper.
Conor Bohan.
Conor Bohan is the keeper for Aidan.
Conor Bohan, James.
Conor Bohan.
Yeah, I'll go with Conor Bohan as well.
Conor Bohan. Well, I'm going to make a case for another goalkeeper who played. Now, Conor Bohan has been outstanding, but he had a very good fence in front of him, and his puck outs were brilliant. But he had very few saves to make because the guys in front of him were so good. And you'll find out when our team at the championship how good they were. But anyway, I will have to just show a bit of intellectual ability, think outside the box. I'm not a yes man like some of the lads on the panel. So I would say, as a young keeper, Darragh Quinlan had an excellent year with Ballyduff. He had some good saves in the final. He denied Oisin Mansell, if you remember. He didn't leave his side down at all on a team that didn't perform on the day. I think Darragh Quinlan played very, very well. So he gets an honourable mention.
Absolutely,
if you want,
in fairness, absolutely.
Yeah, I think if you look back in the championship as well, a man who broke a rib, or got a rib broke in the championship, I think Dan Delaney earlier on, now they didn't reach the latter stages, so he won't be, but I think Dan had a great out championship.
Did.
Yeah. And who broke his rib again? I'm trying to think. The
small fella.
Oh yeah, small Mike O'Leary. So basically, the majority here, obviously, three of the lads in the panel, and I don't entirely disagree with him, but obviously I had another opinion, that it's Conor Bohan. So Conor is our goalkeeper for the team of the championship, and there's really no dissenters when it comes to it. I have no problem accepting Conor Bohan, particularly when I got a selfie with him on Monday evening. He said, "Mort, you're a great club man," and I said,
the one man you can say you're around longer than.
Well, I said to him, "I'm around longer than you. You're a former Dr. Crokes man. At least my hurling days are long gone." I played with Glenben hurling, by the way. There's a general sigh around teams. They're one team I didn't meet along the way for some strange reason. Now we'll go with the full back line, and to be controversial, we'll start in the middle this time with James. What are you three?
I went Jed Mansell, Kyle O'Connor, and Eric Lean / Gary Weird because of their performances. Like it is team of the championship.
Yeah.
This was a long championship.
Yes.
St. Brendan's did 5 games.
Yes.
Those two were absolutely superb. Eric and Abbeydorney people tell you their biggest challenge was beating Effort in quarter-final. Aidan said it. And you know it. If they had Eric Lean and they had Jackie Griffin, whoa, that could have been really, really even tighter than it was. And it was tight.
Yeah, well,
it was tight.
Gary was one of the best players in the championship. He was great.
He was
Eric Lean, your first cousin. He did very well. Now the problem with Eric, he got injured and he only came on very late
as a full forward.
So if he had seen out the whole championship, and definitely in Kerry, he's one of the best
Oh,
man
great
markers,
stuff.
if not the best man marker.
Great
But
attitude.
when it comes to championship, you've got to be absolutely brutally honest, and you've got to be pragmatic. You've got to stick to the rules, so you've no chance.
Overruled.
Aidan, who's your fullback? Fullback line.
Yeah, look, viewers, just take this with a pinch of salt for most of it, but I'm gonna go with Kieran Zadine, Stephen Egan, and Mikey Clifford. Quite simply.
Move on.
Well, at least with my club, I'm fairly, I call it as it is.
I'm just going to say this right now. My 1 to 7, actually, to be quite honest, my 1 to 9 is Abbeydorney. But my Abbeydorney's 1 to 7 won them the championship. So I'm just trying to reflect.
It's hard to pull out.
You can,
Plus,
and like that, Gary Reardon, if we had, 3 nominees for young players of the year, he'd absolutely be one of them.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I can understand totally, Mort, why Aidan is thinking along those lines.
Because they're going to buy points out in the bar after.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
But you could say that there was no weak link from that 1 to 7 for the whole championship for Abbeydorney. But I do think we do have to reflect other teams as well. So I would agree with James. I would have Jed Mansell and Kyle O'Connor in my full back line, but I would definitely have Stephen Egan at full back, because I thought he was exceptional, and it just sealed that with even though he got some help from Ronan Donovan in the final. You need help against Podge Boyle, but if you look at it in the majority of the 50-50 tussles that were between Stephen and Podge, Stephen Egan more than held his own on the day, so he's my full back alongside Jed and Kyle.
I remember when I was training Aidan to drink pints. No, when I was training Aidan, when he did a few matches with me, I remember we were one Abbeydorney match, and he told me that Stephen Egan was a fine hurler. He was a young lad then, I think he was younger. Was he playing?
Well, Stephen is... oh God, do I try to guess putting age on Stephen Egan? He's going to kill me outside. He's just under 30. He's 29 now. He's always been... He's a bit of an enigma of a man, right? But he's always been a guy who could have possibly and should have been the best, and is now the best fullback in Kerry.
Could have played more county. Could have played county more. He should have been more. He should have.
An exceptional fullback.
Yeah, we're close enough to agreement. Jed Mansell, anyways, down by me. Kyle O'Connor is down. I think he had a great year with Ballyduff. He's a quality hurler, and I'm also afraid of him. And then the number 3. Eric Lean, obviously, it's a good call, but I don't think they would far enough for the competition.
Don't forget, we have to mention him. He was fantastic and not far off getting on this team, I would say. He's young Dara Carney of Ballyhyde.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Fullback had an exceptional championship.
Agreed.
And after that Shane Nolan free, they would never have had that wonderful victory over Crotta if he didn't charge up the field.
His 4th or 5th gallop of the day.
And also, just to mention Paul Costello's name too.
Yes.
Pod was outstanding.
Massive.
He had a great, and he came late in the championship because of injury. But he marked Mike O'Leary as good as you can mark Mike O'Leary.
Yeah.
If you get you want a step ladder and a hammer and a hammer, a sledgehammer. You used one back in the day. It's called your Hurling. The fullback I'm going to go for is Stephen Egan. I really think he's quality. He's been quality now for a number of years. So I would go for Jed Mansell, Stephen Egan and Kyle O'Connor.
Happy with that line.
You were happy with that line?
Be happy with that
I know what you want, but...
I'll be happy with that line. You'll be happy with that line.
You'll
be happy with that line.
You'll be happy with that. So we have a goalkeeper now in Conor Bahan from Abbeydorney. Jed Mansell from Abbeydorney is number 2. He actually played there in the county final, in case anybody is saying it doesn't matter defence. But he marked Luke Rochford in the number 2 slot, and Kieran Deneen came out. And Kieran at 37, I think he's 38 this month, but he's 37. There's 2005.
Good record in the finals, 50-15 finals.
50-15
finals. More than most.
Kieran has gotten better.
Yeah,
every year.
It was his best game. Final was his best game. Final was his best game.
He's way better since he gave up the first ball with Nagail.
Final was his best game.
He was
very good in the final.
So Jed Mansell, Stephen Egan and Kyle O'Connor is the full back line. Now, the half back line, I'll start this time with John.
I think the easiest position nearly to pick on the team is at number 5, because it's James O'Connor, the Abbeydorney captain, and completing that half-back line I will have Kevin Goulding of Ballyduff and Ronan Donovan of Abbeydorney as well, who I thought had an exceptional county final and would have been You could have picked any of the half-back line as man of the match on Sunday, and Ronan, I think, had his best game of the entire championship on the biggest day of all.
You're nearly as bad as Leahy. That's 5 out of Abbeydorney now on the back line. I don't know what's happening.
Now
it is. James, now if you were playing in this championship and you're not, although you would have tried, only John Miley wouldn't pick him. You would probably be on at centre back, but that taken for we'll disallow that. I think you agree with James O'Connor and
Definitely.
Ronan Donovan, do you?
And just talk about Ronan for a second. Ronan's converted forward. He was a forward for many years. No, because I can recognise that. I can recognise that because that's what
always
I did.
Back.
He was
back at heart.
always played out of position.
Yeah,
he has now found his position.
Yeah,
he wasn't always.
Were you played out?
I was back
forward. So Ronan was always at heart. He was back.
He was a back.
And half back.
He was played forward for so many years to Abbeydorney. Centre forward, wing forward. This is maybe the first year he's really nailed down. Yeah. I'm a centre back.
Yeah,
I can really relate to that because I did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
That's why I see.
Who's your centre back?
Evan Murphy.
From Causeway.
Because
your love affair with Causeway
it doesn't stop.
Another romantic novel is in my head.
But if you were picking a Kerry team tomorrow morning,
James Mack loves Causeway.
Cross-eyed lover.
The very first name I put on that list is Evan Murphy, and I put a big C next to him.
Captain.
I think he's absolutely what a leader, what a warrior. I think he's absolutely. He was head and shoulders above every defender.
I can assure you now,
Evan
Murphy will never transfer to
No, he won't, but no, it doesn't matter. You have to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because they played Causeway played 5 games.
The man under the cosh. Blood in him.
Yeah, under the cosh, and every game with injuries and sendings off, and every game he played, no matter who the opposition was, he was the best player in the field.
He was full back as well, though.
He was and centre back.
And centre back, yeah.
He was the best player in the field.
Absolutely.
True.
He was outstanding. And you know who played well back there as well? John Egan had a great
Superb,
year.
I agree. And Dazzler when he came into it.
And Darren, absolutely.
Brilliant.
Darren Deneen, I mean,
it's fine for choice.
Michael O'Leary's back or shoulders like a dartboard, but that's beside the point.
We haven't mentioned Kevin Goulding either in the 6th position. We've something else for that. We have a little trick for that. We have a trick for that.
I put him in at 6.
Where were you going?
I would opt for. Let me see. I'm going to change here. I'm going to double cross you.
Lovely. In midstream.
I'm midstream. I'm going for Evan Murphy at centre back as well.
I convinced you so.
You did.
Ahead of Kevin. So you're not going to pick Kevin.
We will. Kevin picked. Kevin Goulding starts the championship corner forward. We'll let that out of the bag there.
Ronan and James, obviously, I think Mikey Clifford. You picked Jade at the back. I obviously just picked Mikey there. I just think, again, to reiterate the point, Abbeydorney's defence won the championship. But look, Ronan and Jamesy. Ronan took a picture below on Tom Lyons' grave. The 2 number 6s. Ronan's been unbelievable, number 6.
Yeah, yes. But the reason I picked those 3.
Oh, look,
no, you're right there. But you, Ronan, Jamesy,
Kevin,
and Jade, because you had 3 fellas you had to mark. And who did you give the responsibility to? Jade, Jamesy, and Ronan. You gave them the responsibility. You didn't pick Mikey. You didn't pick Kieran. Because you gave the responsibility to your 3 best backs.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Right, okay. We'll have to go on this one. James O'Connor, or Jamesy, and Ronan are definitely the 5 and the 7. And it's looking now like Evan Murphy has 2. Kevin Goulding has only 1, I'd say. And what way are you going?
You have.
You know you can.
He James back. A wing back.
Look, Jade is gone. Look, my vote is for, because Jade was picked in the backs. Like my vote is for Mikey. Like in there, it's Ronan and Jamesy, and I'm afraid I'll leave you to pick whatever you want to pick there.
Evan has 2 votes.
Evan has 2 and 1.
Look, if it is a choice for me, like Evan was brilliant, but if it's a choice for me between Evan and Kevin. Is that the choice?
We know. We sneak in Kevin. Don't worry.
That's it. It's 2-2, so I have the casting vote. So I go for Kevin Goulding.
Oh, you traitor! You traitor!
He saw my thunder. I was going to say Daniel Carroll.
What's the point his team?
Get out of it. Just really
He just betrayed me.
Daniel Carroll was
live on
brilliant
television. He betrayed me.
So I let you pick whatever you want there.
He changed his mind twice in the space of 2 minutes.
If I wasn't allowed to pick an Abbeydorney man, it was going to be
He's
Daniel.
lost all
Off you go,
credibility in
lads.
my
Off
mind.
you go.
All credibility is lost.
So, our half-back line on the casting board is a very neutral chairman.
God almighty.
And Murphy, by the way, is James O'Connor, Kevin Goulding, and Ronan Donovan. That was one of the finest shimmies and dummies that I've ever. And I'm glad that I absolutely agreed with McCarthy just to make him feel
until the very end.
Very good. And then, like I did when I was playing, I slipped him as he was about to pull across my shins. Anyway, the half-back line is James O'Connor, Kevin Goulding, and Ronan Donovan. And honestly, lads, if you look at Conor Bohan, Jed Mansell, Stephen Egan, Kyle O'Connor, James O'Connor, Kevin Goulding, and Ronan Donovan. I know we might have other choices, and in fairness, James Evan was a great call, and I'd love to have him in there. I think that's an excellent defence.
That's a Joe McDonough backline.
It is.
That's a god. That should be a Joe McDonough backline.
It could be.
It should be a Joe McDonough backline.
Missing Michael Clifford, though, in fairness, but still.
Yeah, but no, like, but Kerry are going.
You have to finish.
If Kerry want to win, seriously, could talk about Joe McDonough next year.
Of course.
You better get after these boys.
Yeah.
Whoever comes in better get after these boys.
Yeah. Exactly.
Joe McDonough backline.
Right, we're moving on to midfield before the bar closes. And at midfield,
we get no free drink, but
we've missed the first. We've missed the first free round. We missed the first free round.
Oh, Mort, come on.
Yeah, but apparently legend has it, and I can't say very much about this in public in case his bosses are listening, but apparently one member here of this panel actually got bed and breakfast in this bar and slept a little Sunday night, Monday morning, but I don't know which one that was. JC, not JC. Right, midfield. I'm going to start with midfield as you all started already and just give you an idea. I think Dan O'Leary, for his performance right throughout, for his performance in the final, those couple of points he scored, his overall ability, his strength, etc. And O'Leary, brother, he's number 9. And my number 8, although he played mostly at the back, was picked at 15, but has played midfield with Kerry and with Ballyhaig as well. I'm putting Colin Walsh in there. I think he's a fine hurler. So Colin Walsh and Dan O'Leary for me.
I would agree on the two of them positions. I think Daniel O'Leary, I was going through it today, he scored in every game from play. He finished up with 1 goal and 9 points from the middle of the field, which is an exceptional return. One of the games he got 4 points from play. And which one was it?
Fourth game.
Yeah, he was
under Kosh.
That was a day where Abbeydorney hit 20 wides, and it was a Friday night, wasn't it, Mort? We were doing commentary. That was actually the day that Abbeydorney showed nerves.
It was the one day.
They didn't show it in the semi-final or the final, but they certainly did in that quarter-final. And Daniel O'Leary got them over the line with 4 points from play, along with Oisín Mansell's late goal.
Very late on.
Very late goal. That was the day they could have came.
That was probably their closest share.
Yeah, it was their closest share.
They could have came across.
You said that earlier.
1 point up to the last goal, you said, Jody.
They could have came a cropper that night. So Daniel O'Leary 1-9 from play as well. 4 points that night. Exceptional. And I do think of all the players we saw throughout the championship, Colin Walsh was one of the best.
One of the best we saw in the championship.
Yeah, just a classy player.
Just like Evan Murphy, but you didn't vote for him.
Yeah. Brilliant. And he covers so many positions. He covers so much ground during a match. Sometimes you might see him back sweep, or the next minute he's up helping out the forwards.
He could get a score.
He was one of the foundations.
But he's from Ballyhaig. Do you think James will vote for Ballyhaig? We'll find out.
Yeah.
Of course. James, who are, Ballyhaig, the arch enemy. Are you on board with this, Colin Walsh and Daniel O'Leary?
I am on board. I am. Because of Colin's ability.
Was there anyone else that you might have thrown in there, would you think?
You talk about other fellas.
Freedom O'Sullivan.
I thought the Abbeydorney lads, how solid a base they gave the team. Tomas Hanifin.
Yeah.
Like solid, like.
There was probably, I thought Daniel was probably the most consistent man at midfield, as in positional wise.
Yeah.
I know he moved in and out too, with so much movement between half forward line and midfield. Like you, Tomas there, Callum there, probably say Jack Sheen played there at some stage. No, he might have played there at some stage. Callum, you've given me a great out just to be able to pick Callum because Callum was class. I couldn't leave Callum out.
Yeah.
Callum Walsh was brilliant, but
I think so.
Callum and Daniel were brilliant. They played probably the most time out of anyone in midfield.
They did.
But look,
they were needing the midfield last times. Yeah.
If you're picking two lads there, geez,
you'd have
to. We want to make room for Colin.
You'd be happy. I wouldn't even. What about making room?
No, he deserves
his
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
you're dead right. He deserves his spot. Yeah.
So we have Colin Walsh and Dan O'Leary. I said that's the first time we kind of agreed, more or less. I know.
I do have Callum written down.
I know. Not agreed.
I coached Callum for a long time. I had a great time.
That's no wonder he's where he is. But anyway, that's
he's out there.
He's out there. That's
we're the middle.
Do you realise, viewers, that every Abbeydorney man that Aidan gets on this team, that's worth at least a point to him. So he's trying to build it up to 6 or 7.
Yeah,
we'll see what we can do for him.
The few fellas they end up dropping or I want a few hidings.
He told him before the programme was ever made. He promised him. He
promised him he'd get on.
He said it already. He's drank that already.
Yeah. So the half-forward line. And the half-forward line is going to be interesting. And here, of course, we'd so many forwards who played well. And we had a contender, I think. We have 2 contenders in this, I think, for player of the championship. Mm-hmm. I think Ronan Walsh is definitely the 12. I think Michael O'Leary is definitely the 11. Are all of us agreed on that? So we'll talk about the 10.
I agree.
10.
I agree on 12 and 11.
God almighty, Aidan's. He's after sobering up.
We won't mention who I've dropped. We won't say who I've dropped there.
I know. We won't. Now, the number 10 is contentious. Now, I know... Oh, no, you didn't have... Who had 10?
I'd Philip Lewis at 11. I'd Mike Leary at 11. I'd 10 because of where he... If you look at
where he wins the puck
out, he's at 10. He's at 10 or 11.
Yeah.
He's at 10 or 12.
That word for the place.
That's 10 or 12.
Yeah.
Sorry,
10 or 12.
Is there any team ever that started 1 to 15 actually stayed in their positions?
No, never.
The championship, no.
Now it's become more of a thing where it doesn't matter anymore.
So you're putting in Philip in there, are you?
Yes, centre forward.
Yeah,
I thought he's scoring rate at all times.
He never played except in the corner, so you ruled out there. Now, John,
thank God he got an all-star committee.
I'd make a good
you were tailor-made for it.
Fellas in wherever you want. Fit him in.
Yeah. Now, who's your number 10?
Back.
I think it's very difficult to pick that third member of the half-hour line because obviously Michael O'Leary and Ronan Walsh are absolute certainties. Yeah, they're standouts. Like the top scorer, and I think Ronan might even have been third.
43
points. He was,
in the top scorer in the championship.
Yeah.
How can you leave out Jack Goulding? He was away for 1 game. And look at the matching by.
I have Jack Goulding as the third member of that half-hour line because he didn't have a great final, but that's because he was probably up against the imperious James O'Connor, who would have beaten anybody, I think, on Sunday. It's not a slight on Jack that he couldn't get the better of James O'Connor, and he did have his moments. Would Ballyduff have come through the semi-final against Kilmoyley? If Jack hadn't have been working in tandem with Podge Boyle, I don't think so, because they were both absolutely brilliant that day. And if you look at the leadership he showed in the first couple of rounds of the championship, especially when Podge got injured with the calf injury and missed games, they looked to Jack Goulding. And he stepped up to the plate. He did miss the quarter-final. He was away for the...
You saw his loss that day.
You saw it, yeah. And I think he just added an awful lot to the championship this year. Obviously, he'd been away in London for the last couple of seasons. His vision, his passing, not just his own scoring. I think he set up 2 of the goals of the championship with 2 of the passes of the championship.
Yeah.
I think they were in the early games.
They were,
his vision was on another level to a lot of other players. So I'm just going to put him in.
That's two sets of brothers. We have the O'Leary brothers on, and we have the Goulding brothers on.
I picked Jack Sullivan.
Yeah, you picked Jack Sullivan. Yeah,
Jack ended up with 4 goals, 3 goals at least. Did he?
Yeah, he did. He got a couple of points.
I think, and look, Jack Goulding was brilliant. He's some unbelievable wizardry out there in all the games he played. I think my thought process here is coloured so much by listening to the lads outside.
Yeah, difficult opponents, I suppose.
Even some of the guys from other clubs, like any time we were talking about, fellas who played really well. Like the respect they had for Jack Sullivan, the way he played all year. Yeah, that's probably what coloured me most than anything. So I just thought Jack deserved a mention there.
It's a great mention in fairness.
But and the goal in 2 points.
I'm getting
but
it'll get you nowhere.
The two bullets come. The 2 bullets here, me and you and bullets gone.
The Philip Lucid theory at number 10 or number 11 of Michael O'Leary, number 10. That's blown out the water as well. You have Kevin Goulding, Michael O'Leary, Jack Goulding, Michael O'Leary.
Just tell us who you have.
You're going to have to call it.
Well, I will definitely call it Michael O'Leary at 11. I will definitely call Roland Walsh at 12. And I will most certainly call Jack Goulding at 10. So Jack Goulding, Michael O'Leary, Ronan Walsh would be my 3. I think they're 3 good half forwards. But I will have to say that Jack Sullivan was very close in my thinking. And some other pundits who have picked the team in championship, they've included Jack O'Sullivan. So really, he was close.
To mention,
and Niall O'Mahony
work rate of Niall, work rate of Tomas Anafin, and work rate of Jack Sheehan, who were probably the 3 guys who rotated around forward for Abbeydorney.
I'd have liked to include Jack Sheehan.
He had a great
championship.
He had a great final.
And I think when
the final was his best game.
Yes, but when Abbeydorney were ever kind of waning or something, he was always the man that came up with a tackle or a catch or a pass or something. He's just that kind of a player. He gets stuck in.
You kind of had 4 unsung heroes in the Abbeydorney forward line, if you include Niall O'Mahony as a forward, because you could say David Egan, Callum O'Sullivan and Jack Sheehan, they all did fantastic work.
Sheehan and Mike were so good.
And their roles looked understated compared to the 2 other members of the forward line.
I've been talking about that since our first week doing this preview. The supporting cast around Michael, around O'Sheen was so important.
David Egan's defensive work on Sunday.
Jack Sheehan.
David Egan and Callum O'Sullivan, their defensive work coming back into the half-back line.
It started by marking Kevin Goulding. He was put on Kevin Goulding. David Egan, you watched the whole game, he was on Kevin Goulding. To mark him.
And he marked Colin in the semi-final.
Yeah, that was his job. He rolled. He does a roll.
Right, we're on to the full forward line. There's a couple of these automatics now, and you'll have to, James, I think we'll have to accept a compromise, but it'll be a compromise that you will like this time, as opposed to David Murphy one, which you will bring to your grave with you. Anyway, the full forward line, James, what's your idea of a full forward line?
O'Sheen Mansell full, Podge in the corner, and I have the man Kevin Goulding at corner forward, because I'm playing a sweeper in my row in my system.
Yeah, well, your system.
That's how you got him in,
That's my system.
You got
because
him in.
At the very first game Ballyduff played, Kevin was named corner forward.
You're not so bad after all. You do recognise talent.
Because we talked about in the programme, will he play as a 6 or will he play as a sweeper?
Yeah.
He eventually, I think, by hook or by crook, was kind of nearly made play 6.
Yeah.
Where I would have rather if Ballyduff, he could have been more dangerous as a sweeper for Ballyduff when they needed him the last
But he did play 6.
He had to play 6. He was
very adamant to me when I met him on Monday evening. He said, I did not play sweeper. I want you to correct the record, especially of that fella James McCarthy, right? Who has been getting it wrong all championship.
Well done, Kevin, you talked your way out of it.
You're gone there. Gone. I put him in there anyway.
But
he's my man corner forward. Even if he didn't go back to 6, what a brilliant corner forward. He's played corner forward for Bella for years. He's a top class hurler. How he's not in the county setup. There's a lot of questions. A lot of questions have to be asked.
He won't be in the county setup either next year. He's going travelling.
Look at all these fellas.
I can reveal. He'll be gone next year for the whole year.
What a loss.
What a loss.
To Hurling and Kerry.
That's an exclusive. If you listen to me, you'll get the truth of the news.
But if we listen to you, I know where we'd be. We'd all be drinking like Leahy.
Listen, the full forward line, Aidan, while he still hides a pint behind the pint.
The cup was full of pints.
I informed David Egan last night that he was being dropped for Philip Lucid, and even he agreed.
We'll go on Podge, O'Sheen and Philip.
Philip, O'Sheen and Shane Nolan.
Nolan?
Come on.
The left wing.
The man gave us probably the best moment up until Luke Rochford's point.
The last minute goal against
Grata. He was half injured for most of it.
He went off from one game.
And sure, I had to pick Grata, man. They're our neighbours.
They're Mort's club.
My neighbouring club. They were my club last year. But
I really struggled.
I transferred before March.
With picking another man there. There was a lot of contenders. And
there is.
You have to look back at those fallen quarterfinalists because There were some battles in
There
those
was.
quarterfinals.
They won the games of the
It's-
championship.
you know something?
Shane only played what? He played 3 games. He was still up there in terms of top scorers.
I know. It's refreshing to hear you saying that, considering you won 1-7 for Abbeydorney and left out everybody else who played well in all the groups. And now all of a sudden, when it suits the narrative,
In the championship.
yeah, in the championship, we
The
know
words
that
came
Shane Nolan has. He deals in concrete slabs and things. So Mike Leahy said to his son, "Listen, praise Nolan, put him on that team. I need
We'll get a few more of those half loads.
I need half.
It's on the way back to the yard.
Yes.
I'm going to agree with two of that full forward line. Philip Lucid has to be there because he was only until Michael O'Leary got his very, very last free on Sunday did Philip Lucid lose out on being the top scorer in the championship. He scored 2 goals and 44 points, I think, is what he finished up with. And Michael just pipped him with 3 goals and 42. Yeah. So Philip in the corner, Oisín Mansell nailed on, certainty, full forward, 5 goals in 4 games, inspiration. And I don't think he could have the team without Podge Boyle in the other corner. When he came back into the team, 1-7 against Lixna, 2-12 against Kilmoyley, 2 successive Man of the Match awards, and it did take, even at 80% capacity on Sunday after picking up the calf injury in the warm-up, it still took 2 of Abbeydorney's best players, Ronan Donovan and Stephen Egan, to try and keep one man quiet. So
3-27 in the championship, 36 points.
Podge Boyle has to start for me.
Yeah, well, I have Podge Boyle, Oisín Mansell and Philip Lucid. So, and you have obviously Kevin Goulding, who is already on the team. He can't be on the team twice.
We never mentioned Michael Lean either for his performance.
Yes.
And taking Ballyhigh over the line against Crotta.
Yes.
The performance in that.
We've missed out.
We've missed a lot of fellas.
But
you know, kind of just the way.
We've missed out on Rory Mahoney. We've missed out on Marcy Gaynor. We've missed
lots
out on
of brilliant. Derek Carney virtually as well.
Dan Goggin was one of the best forwards in the championship.
Dan Goggin, yeah.
Brilliant.
Joe Diggins.
Joseph Diggins was exceptional.
You could mention loads of them.
I think
actually Joseph Diggins missed out in midfield, but that's how good a chance it was.
A sign of how good the game.
Ricky Heffernan, good year with
Ricky.
He nearly won it. He nearly took it over the line himself.
Yeah. Very good season.
So, the expert panel had picked their, and I had no influence at all, on the
They picked their team and Mort overruled them. He overruled them. So what have we got?
He's like Donald Trump going against
that, Murphy Trump. The goalkeeper is Conor Bahan from, I was going to say Dr. Groves, Abbeydorney. The full back line, Jed Mansell, Abbeydorney, Stephen Egan from Abbeydorney, Kyle O'Connor from Ballyduff. Back line, James O'Connor. I put him as captain of that team from Abbeydorney. The centre back is Kevin Goulding, not at number 15, he's the centre back, and Ronan Donovan is at number 7. Midfield, Colin Walsh from Ballyhigh and Dan O'Leary from Abbeydorney. The half forward line, this is kind of contentious, the number 10, but Jack Goulding gets the nod because Michael O'Leary is at 11, and Ronan Walsh, one of the contenders for player of the championship, is at number 12 from Kilmoyley. And the full forward line, I think this kind of picked itself really. You have Podge Boyle from Ballyduff, you have Oisín Mansell from Abbeydorney, and Philip Lucid, who was just beaten for top scorer by 1 point by Michael O'Leary, and Philip is from Ballyhigh. A good effort, lads. I think that team is decent.
I'm happy you have squeezed in some guys in there.
No, you couldn't get your way.
Some non-Abbeydorney players.
We couldn't get all 15. I know you wanted all 15.
I was just going to, I was, and one of the lads said out to me, just name the programme. It was very close. I was going to start into the subs as well. Brendan Leary, super sub at the tournament.
Right, Aidan, behave. Now we have the player of the championship, and we have the young player of the championship. Now, player of the championship, we do a few contenders, I'd say, for that. John, give us a contender.
It's hard to look beyond the winners when you're looking at the player of the championship in the end. So I think it comes down to between Michael O'Leary, Oisín Mansell, and James O'Connor.
They'd be your 3.
They'd be my 3 main candidates.
Your main candidates?
I'd have Podge, Ronan Walsh, Mike Leary, and James O'Connor. They're 4. I mentioned 4. I said you said 3, but I said 4.
Yeah, no, 3
I'd say 4.
No, if 3 or 4, it doesn't matter because you could never count.
Can I get 15?
He can.
Now, please, one non-Abbeydorney fella. Can you even try?
Yes, Ronan Walsh, absolutely.
Very good.
Contender.
Yes.
Absolutely. And other than that, then.
How many points have you had? Definitely you would have Go on.
Geez, Ronan and Ronan Walsh, James O'Connor, Michael O'Sheen, then.
Michael O'Sheen.
Yeah.
We're all on the same wavelength. I'm on the same. I mentioned the same 4 players. And let's go. We'll stay away from you for James, because we know what's going to happen there. James McCarthy. Could it be your namesake?
It's James O'Connor. Yeah. He was like, when you look at a man, and I asked his age earlier. I didn't want to ask his age because I don't deal with ages, because I'm an old fella and I play hurling.
Yeah.
What he gave, the energy and the captain's
the leadership,
and never a word out of him. Never a word.
No.
Gets a belt, gets up, puts the ball down, takes the free,
doesn't
get involved, takes another belt, goes again, gets a score, does his job. Absolute top class. Like, you talk about leaders. Leaders is not having a captain's armband.
No.
Leaders is a
leader. He's not
like,
shouting around.
I remember my greatest example ever was Brian Cochrane on a Babcock team.
Yes.
Man, that fella got absolutely killed. All he'd do is he'd fix his broken old micro helmet, he'd put the ball on and throw it over the bar again. What an unbelievable player when he was sent to Babcock team. I always thought of him. I always a fella I thought of. I said, Jesus, that's the way to play it. Take a belt, give a belt, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
And that's the way James he does it. And not a word, but when he walks on that field, what a leader. What a warrior.
He must be leading the dressing room as well. Would you go along with James?
100%. The best player, the most influential player of the whole championship. And even on Sunday, he proved it again. The best point of the game, his general defensive role, blotting out one of the best hurlers in the championship in Jack Goulding, giving him barely a sniff. I think the only point Jack Goulding got in the second half was after James O'Connor had gone up on the attack for a brief moment on the other end of the pitch, and Jack Goulding, he just didn't have time to get back, and Jack Goulding got his score in the second half. As well as that, put his body on the line for that Podge Boyle freeze. Definitely blocked the first one. I'd love to see the video again to see who blocked the second one.
Who would have the video? Do you know anyone?
The penalty, say the penalty.
But his leadership, as James says, he's 33 years of age.
He's only 32, I think.
Former member of the Kerry panel, but as James would say there, could have walked on the Kerry team this year. He was just special, and it was a pure understated form of leadership. No rabble rousing, no shouting his mouth off, just quietly effective. You'd have to say, and it was a brilliant decision by Francie O'Halloran when he decided to pick a captain at the start of the year, because Francie, from what we've seen of him so far, understated, calm, and he found his mirror image on the pitch to be the captain.
Very good. Aidan, would you go along with Jamesy?
Jamesy is a guy who, until probably the last, and he'll admit this himself, probably the last 4 or 5 years, was never very vocal.
Yeah.
And he's still not
no,
the most vocal man. But it's the 4 or 5 sentences he says are so important.
Yeah.
It's the quality over quantity sort of thing with Jamesy. Yeah. Everything he says, even his speech, his speech was not
excellent.
Too long or anything like that, but
yeah.
Every single thing he said was just absolutely perfect. Everything he does on the pitch is almost absolutely perfect as well. He leads by example, but he does have just enough of the vocal stuff as well that makes such a big impact on guys. I think his influence on the younger fellas is the most important thing.
Yeah.
But he's such a huge leader and absolutely by far and away the player of the championship.
I think he's actually economical in everything he does on the hurling field. The way he tackles, the way he clears, he catches, he runs, the way he covers, his reading of the game. I think he's a very intelligent player, good reader of the game. I also think, obviously, his leadership qualities. But I think when the fat is in the fire and you need somebody to do a flick, Jed Menser was at it as well, actually. Yeah. That flick, that clearance, that catch, that inspirational point like the one he got before half time, and there was instances early in the championship as well. James is a man you'd like to go into the trenches with. He's that type of a player. Unbelievable.
There's serious grit and determination at the back of it
all. But
also,
like, just the nicest man you would ever.
Oh yeah, so we're talking to him, and
the nicest man you've ever
and he's so unassuming.
Yeah,
he absolutely. There's an ounce of ego in him, unlike some people I know.
And Mike Leahy was that close as well. Mike Leahy was that close.
That close. Like it's very hard. It's very hard.
As well, like we're on about the man of the match, and poor Jade I think was almost embarrassed.
Jade was closer to.
If you could ever just give man of the match to 6 fellas or 7 fellas, you could have just given the trophy to the 1 to 7 on the day in the final. And Jamesy will be embarrassed to get player of the championship ahead of the other 6 guys.
Well, they gave to Kilkenny against Watford. They gave to Kilkenny the whole team back to man of the match.
So that's it. Like
you black and amber job
in the same way James was embarrassed to get the man of the match. Jamesy will be embarrassed to get this, and that's the way.
So one before we wrap up, one final act is the young player of the championship. John, you have an idea on this, and I think most of us would go along with it, principally because of possibly one catch, but as well as that, he was excellent throughout.
Yeah,
the best days on Sunday.
And he's only just up out of minor. It's his first year at senior.
He'll be with 3 CBS in the Hattie Cup this year. He's going to be playing with them.
First year at senior level, and the thing is, there's.
Do you know his name?
There's an electricity off this lad as well, Luke Rochford of Ballyduff. He's just been a very special player in this championship, and when you meet him, there's just something about him. He might be diminutive in size, but you can see that he's got a very big heart, and that he has fierce determination. Like he doesn't stand back from anybody on the field either, no matter how big they are.
He's really likeable though.
He's a very
kind of smile in him, and
humble guy,
and very
a very, very likeable young man, and he's only going to get better and better. Like Sunday was a tough experience for him. Jed Mansell was just unbelievable. He was just outstanding. Luke just couldn't get an inch off.
I think in a championship where there were so many young players, to go from under 21 down is almost unfair.
Yeah.
Because at this stage in Kerry Hurling, you're 21, you're inexperienced.
Yeah.
I think you need to just go the first year. The freshmen,
the rookie.
I think that's what you have to go by on the young players, and that's
because if you were going by RT standards, you'd still be including like Oisin Mansell and all as a young player of the year. But for us, we've decided because it's to go on a player that was in his first year at senior level, and young Rochford was excellent.
If he was a female and he was going to be a nun, he'd be a novitiate. He'd be going to a novitiate. Yeah.
But he was. If you look at what Rochi went through this year, Rochi broke his ankle start of the year playing with us, Kerry under 20. We had our forward line built with Rochi in field.
Yeah.
And then we lost him because he broke his ankle.
Never got to play with
you caused that man to miss
he missed half a season through injury and came back and was as good as he was. And as you say, still only a young lad in school doing his leaving cert next year.
Was it? Yeah. Was it the training or was it an accident?
No, I'd say we're out. We're out somewhere. But what a humble lad that I did a lot of work with this year. We were with crew camps all year, and 7 Evan.
Lovely fella in Evan.
We had good crack. A guy you could say anything to him, and you know what? You know he's listening.
He's listening.
You know he's listening. You know he's thinking right. This guy has been there and done it. He's not going to be just taking you for it.
And Luke.
The interview we did with him, myself and Pip, I just enjoyed it so much. Like, we could have picked a lot of players that day for man of the match, and I just said, Jesus, Luke deserves this, because that catch is just a total magic moment in the Kerry Hurling Championship. Like that happened in the semi-final, these things tend to get lost. I'm sure it'll be dug up again when he wins a man of the match in the county final in how many every year time. He inevitably will. I met him the day after on the Lewis after the All-Ireland final. And I just said to him, how are you finding the newfound fame? And you could just tell from the little smirk he gave, like, pure humble guy, just reacted in the perfect way to it, like, and kind of that small bit, small tinge of almost embarrassment, like being the centre of attention, like, as so many Irish people are, I suppose, whenever they're the centre of attention. But even I met his uncle Jerry, and just talking about him to him, and like they're just to have a young guy like that. Like, they lost the championship this year by enough, but there's so much positives going forward for them. Yeah. And like that, I'm sure they are
They're forced. They're forced.
No, teams and decades and all that crack. It might be this decade, but the next decade. I think they're
of course.
Very
They're going to be a force.
Yeah.
So the player of the championship is from Abbeydorney. No surprise there. James O'Connor, their inspirational captain. We have the young player of the championship, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And that is Luke Rochford. The top scorer of the championship picks itself. That's Michael O'Leary. So we Michael
Even
O'Leary.
you can't disagree with that, Mort.
No. Well, the maths, I was checking the maths earlier because I don't touch it. But Mike fully deserved it. I said he was so close to all the other runners. We picked our team of the championship, okay, with a few contentious moments, but overall, I think there was agreement that team was a fair representation of what happened, particularly in the latter stage of the championship. And you can make a case, as James is making, that if you were taking it to the entire championship, you might change one or two. But really, those players earned their position in that. Now, before we finish, I want to say congratulations to a couple of teams. I'd want to congratulate Kilgarvan, who won the County Intermediate Championship. They had a big win over St. Brendan's, 5-11-9. I was at that last Thursday week, I think it was, in the Fitzgerald Stadium. And we had Daniel Casey, who played with the Kerry Seniors for a season under Finton at least. And he played at full forward and he got 4 goals and 1 point. And Glenn Egan, a brother of the infamous one, he got a goal, but overall their defence was absolutely outstanding, and they were without both Gerard Finnessy and Donald O'Sullivan down. Also, congratulations to the Junior Championship winners, and that was St. Brendan's. They've lost 3 intermediates in a row, but they won the juniors. That would be James McCarthy's grade. And
we're not allowed.
I can only dream of being a junior. I'd love to be a junior. Oh my God, drop us down, please. Drop us down.
And they won their county title, beating Dr. Crokes. It was tight enough, 114-19. I'd say Mike Milner was probably playing for Crokes in that one. So that was a good one. So the titles went to North Kerry clubs. Abbeydorney are our senior county champions after 50 years. And Kilgarvan, who are not in North Kerry obviously, they won the intermediate champions. They were playing the junior champions in Munster, and I think they're weighing that. And Mickey Foley after confirmed that they're not going to seek, they've only 21 players, he said, seek senior status, so they definitely won't be going up. And St. Brendan's, who won the county junior championships, well done to them. So now that's a wrap, lads. All I have to say is thanks to all these volunteers who come in week after week, and we've been doing reviews and previews and talking to lads over the weekend.
Let's put it up there.
And all you can think of is the needless play. But week after week, John O'Dowd, James McCarthy and Aidan Leahy have come in, and this was before he knew that Abbeydorney were going to win the championship, mind you. And obviously they've been involved in commentaries and co-commentaries with us when we could trust James to be neutral. And we had some great crack and fun, as well as some great games in the hurling championships. I think it was 7 weeks the hurling championship lasted. And, it's a competition that's running, starts in the middle of June, finishes in the first weekend in August. It was fairly hectic work, and I think one man that really has to take the kudos and get the kudos, the work he's done in this, and that's John C. O'Shea. Not only does he film the games and he does the sidelines, the action replays, but he has to pick out the clips after of points, great goals, highlights, and he also has to
take out our stuff.
He has to cut a lot of the stuff that Jason McCarthy says.
He's the direct Mort.
A big brush over the table.
1 hour, Mort. 1 hour.
And the other thing I will tell you about JC is he said in the county final to us, myself and John O'Dowd would start outside the gate. It was very innovative, move through, explain where the players were, move through the tunnel out to the pitch, talk to people, give it a flavour of the atmosphere, look at the stand. He said 2 minutes, lads, because we have a few interviews to do. 5 minutes later, we were still only reached the halfway line. It was John O'Dowd, he was talking a lot, obviously it wasn't me. But it was great that Clubber this year had the county final normally. TG Carr have it, but they had other things. And congratulations to Kerry ladies, great All-Ireland win. Same day, they ended a famine that went back to 1993. Not as long as the starvation that was around these parts, I can tell you. My club obviously ended a 50-year...
quick one for Finan as well, same day as well. When the
Finan and Matthew O'Sullivan met his dad outside. He won the junior one or the underage one.
Yeah.
And Puck Fada and the Puck Fada Finan to reclaim it again, to regain it again. It's something else posted back to back. Were you any good, James, by the way, at Puck Fadas? No, I'd say you were pucking across the road and pucking forward. Anyway, that's it for now. And thanks to Clubber as well for all the help. And of course, they actually streamed 21, I think, championship games live. Isn't that right, JC? Yeah, 21 championship live. So thanks to Lara and Jimmy and all the staff there. This is the end of the hurling year for us. This is the last podcast you'll see on hurling. Until we meet again on the hurling front, but we have tomorrow morning coming out as well a football one, and we'll be continuing the football ones right through the end of the club championship and on to the senior football championship. And the draw for that is this coming Monday night if anybody's interested in Listowel, in Gary's shop in Listowel at 6:30, I think it is. So that's it for now. We're here in Abbeydorney. They've been okay. They haven't been too noisy at the back, but I'd say the night is only beginning here.
But young.
Because after 50 years, Abbeydorney have regained the Neil Slane Trophy, and no happier man than Aidan Leahy. Good night from us here in Abbeydorney, and we'll see you next time.